make sure that when you are in a meeting and the meeting is over with, you ask the person across from you, is there anyone else you think that I should meet? You would not even believe how that has opened up all the wonderful people that I have met in 6 years. So I have then taken that and put my own spin on it, which is then when I meet with somebody, I then introduce them to someone they may not know. I've done it to
Yeah.
you. You
Yep,
got
absolutely.
Christy, Amy, I did it to you.
Yeah.
So I kind of expanded on that. So that was the greatest thing. That was Kathy. If I didn't introduce you to her, I will. She told me that and I ran with it. And it expanded every single person I have met in and out of Medina County.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Welcome back to another episode of Mastering the Numbers. Really been looking forward to my guest today. We've been trying to get together on this podcast for the last couple months, but my guest today is Jenny Young. She's the owner of She Did It Videography. Jenny, thanks for finally getting together with me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for not shortening videographer.
No problem. I like to get the names of the companies right. That's pretty
Yeah,
important.
I worked hard on that title. I know it's long, but I like the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Two things. You have to get the name of the person right and then the name of the company right. So
Correct.
at the very least, at the very
Yeah.
least. So for our audience out there, can you do us a huge favor? Tell us a little bit about She Did It Videography.
Sure. So I have been a small business videographer, not a wedding videographer, for going on 15 years. And I started out traveling in my small, tiny Yaris, servicing small businesses. They called it the diamond necklace, I guess, because of the shape, but really Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
6 years ago in August, I started She Did It Videography and took videography in my own hands and became a small business owner, serving small businesses, serving nonprofits, and I still serve Ohio. I'll still go anywhere. In fact, last year I went to Indiana. But mainly in the Medina County is where I seem to really have my home at. Um, the goal for She Did It Videography is to teach small businesses that their video is a tool and how to use it. And, and and growing on that, I had, a lot of people automatically assume I know a lot about social media. So I get a lot of those questions. I do. I'm a millennial, I grew up with it. So actually am savvy when it comes to social media. So pairing with making video for them, either unique to their business or used as a tool, is also educating people on, when to create video for yourself, how to get comfortable, have the confidence to be in video and make video, when to know to do that for yourself, and when to know to call a videographer. If not me, somebody else. I have a list of people. If I'm too extroverted for you and I'm not your gal, I have no problem. I do not like to be a shut door or an end of the road. I like to collaborate and branch people out and connect. I'm a connector. So that's what She Did It does. Hopefully every single day.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
everybody needs an extrovert in their life, so you
Thank
know
you.
it works that way. It works that way. So I guess to further expand on what you do for your clients, what types of videos are those? Are you helping the business owners out with?
Yeah. So when I started She Did It Videography, one of the needs that I saw, be it that I am a millennial, and when I started becoming a videographer, people were using video just to have something on their website, right? So I grew along with the need for video and phones in our hand and all those things. So when I started She Did It Videography, I literally opened up Women's Journal magazine, took a look at all the events that were in the magazine, and just kind of had an aha moment, like, well, how is anybody ever going to know if these events were cool, if they happened? How are they ever going to promote it next year if they don't have a video? So I came up with the concept of a music only video, which lets me come to your event or business and film something without the need for you to sit down and do an interview. It's also kind of like a stepping stone into video. I need you to understand the importance of video. I need you to understand how it works, how our collaboration works. So for me, it's a really simple, in to show you, okay, here's how it works. I don't need you to sit down. I don't need you to get all red faced and make you nervous and ask you questions. So a music only video all the way to, interviewing somebody. It could be a one person in an interview. I even work with some nonprofit organizations, and they do what I like to call mini documentaries, where they have a very poignant story to tell. I work a lot with NEOPAT, which is Northeast Ohio Patriotism Foundation. I have to go like this so I make sure I get every word right. Um, and they tell bigger stories, not necessarily a half hour long, an hour long, but it needs to, because of how important the story is and it pulls at your heartstrings, it needs to be like 8 to 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Whereas if I sat down with you and we did an interview, I'm going to ask you, please don't tell me anything I can Google about you. We're gonna dive real deep. We're gonna find the how, the who, the what about you that would make an interesting video. And so those are kind of the avenues that I tend to film in. I know you sat down with the wonderful Christy Myers. So every once in a while, I do have a client who lets me kind of extrovert my extrovert. And if you have an idea or you let me do something that's a little bit, I try to bring a little bit of Hollywood in, have a little bit of fun. So we've turned Chrissy's children into pirates. We've mocked Indiana Jones. We have props, we do all these fun things. So if I find a business, a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or even a nonprofit that is comfortable enough in their own skin and they really understand video, if I can get them to let's get a Bigfoot suit and do something crazy. I
Yeah.
keep pitching that and no one has done it, and I really want to do it. So I'm just putting it out there. So yeah, if I find somebody comfortable enough in their own skin, I really try to push against
Yeah.
that, and let's have a little bit of Hollywood fun, so to speak,
Yeah.
and really do something that no one else is doing. I like to use the example for Pizza Hut, right? So if you follow Pizza Hut on social media, it's like, are you following Pizza Hut because you want to see what they have? Well, no, you know that they have pizza. So why are you following them? Because they
Yeah.
entertain you in some kind of way. Maybe it's a celebrity or something that you're following. You got your flows and all those quirky little things out there. There's no reason why small business can't do that as well. It's just kind of, you have to have a stepping stone. And in some cases, that's me sitting down and kind of training them and getting them familiar. Anyone that works with me knows that I will make a dare. I will dare you. If you tell me that you're scared of video, or you have a small business, but you don't really go on social media, I make dares all the time. I dare you to go live. I dare you to do a video, and make sure you tag me when you do it, because you really need the stepping stone. So
Yeah.
I can create that for small business so they can get comfortable and understand, video. You have to understand it. It's such like
Yeah.
it's it's such a hard industry to understand as far as like what to charge and what you offer. And I personally think it just goes back to, the beginning. At one point, the only kind of videographer there was a wedding videographer.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like when I got the first job that gave me the opportunity to drive around small business, I didn't coin the phrase, but I feel like I, started initiating this idea of like, well, we don't have to do weddings. We can niche ourselves. And I'm sure there were other people all over the place already doing it, but I felt like
Yeah.
maybe I was close to the first or around there. And I say that because you have production companies, big house production companies, and they're doing great things and putting stuff on TV. But I'm talking about the little guy.
Yeah.
I'm talking the mom and pop shop that doesn't have that big high dollar budget. I'm talking about sitting down and collaborating with somebody and saying, okay, well, here are my prices. And if you can't do that, let's set out goals for you so that you can reach that. And maybe it's just a sit down conversation with me to give you the courage to be able to start filming stuff on your own. And then when you feel like you understand it, maybe you're ready for me. So unique in that kind of way. I guess.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I took out of that is number one is business owners, our lives are small businesses, our lives are stressful enough, and to have a little bit of fun while you're trying to grow your business can't hurt.
Precisely.
That's the first part. And the second part is you brought it up is that small business owners, we can't go to those high level production companies or don't want to go to those high level production companies. We would prefer to work with other small business owners like ourselves and because it's a better fit. So yeah, I think it's great. It's a great service, what you're doing to help people. So
And I would
and
never stop.
nobody's. I'm sorry.
No, I was,
No,
my
please.
goal too is I wouldn't, my goal would be to help you get to those. If your goal is to be
Yeah,
on TV and to hire a production company that rolls out a dolly, I am so happy to be a part of your journey to get there
yeah,
and helping educate you and understand what you need to do to get there. Because not you can save up and call them, but you have to understand that video is a tool and you have to be comfortable with it. Because if you're not comfortable with it, you're going to slap it up, you're going to leave it there, and you're going to think it's going to do its own thing, and it's
yeah.
not. You have to, it's a tool. You have to know where to put
Right.
it. You have to be able to embed it in your email and all these places that maybe I'm thinking of that you're not. So yeah, I'm not, everybody has their place. So if I can help you reach that goal of hiring that big job production company, then I'm happy to be a piece of that stepping stone.
Yeah, a lot of times we need that help. I do these podcasts, and I just do the podcast. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to put intros and outros. I don't really know how to get it out to social media or which are the right ones. That's why my marketing team at Check Off Your List. That's why they exist. That to help people like me that don't know how to or don't really want to as well.
Yeah, well, time too,
Push it out
right?
there. Yeah, it's a
Time.
huge part. It's a huge
Yeah.
part. So.
Yeah.
So it seems like you started off in the corporate world to some degree, right? Before you decided
Um,
to go out on your own,
Yeah, a little
a
bit.
little
So my
bit.
original goal, I attended the University of Akron with my degree, like a lot of people, changed a million times. I was going to be an art teacher and not, and then again. And so I ended up in communications, and I thought I was actually going to be on radio. I wanted to be on radio. I wanted to be a disc jockey. I have a lot of energy. I don't know if I have the voice, but iHeartRadio came around and I just didn't feel comfortable. I guess I just had this
Yeah,
internal intuition that things were changing. So I had to do something else. So when you get your communications, mass media communication degree, the availability is, as it says, big. And again, we're talking 2009. So social media is brand new. There are not small businesses everywhere promoting themselves for free. Really, what is available to me is a really small amount. So I actually started with a small little boutique firm. And my first job was, so social media, Facebook just opened up, the world is on Facebook. And my first job was to monitor the Akron area YMCA social media accounts and make sure that nothing egregious happened. So I literally sat at a desk and really just switched between all the locations, Firestone Park, Green, all of them, and just made sure nobody went on and posted anything crazy. The comments, that's what I did for 8 hours a day. So I actually got a little background, a little training in branding. My boss was very heavily into making people understand branding. So it just felt like along the way, these, opportunities happened. And one day, we had the chance to make a video for Westfield Insurance. There really was no video department at this little boutique that I worked at. So we sort of faked it, and I was the one that got to fake it. And it kind of reignited something that I did throughout my childhood. I used to convince my teachers, instead of writing book reports, that we should do video of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of the year 1970s, and they would say yes and let me and all my friends do it. And I kind of, that sat dormant, and I forgot that, that was a part of me. So I, faked this one job, and I was like, oh, I think this is my thing. This is what I love to do. And a job description came up for somebody who wanted to start having a videographer drive around Northeast Ohio. And I was like, with a little help from YouTube, I think I can like pretend that I've been doing this a lot longer than this one job that I just faked for Westfield Insurance. And I got the job, and I worked with them for almost 8 years. Created a style, fell in love with small business, and that was really it. And then when I left
yeah,
6 years ago, when you start a small business, it's either because you see a need, or you have this deep desire to do this thing on your own. So it's kind of a little bit of that. And that desire was really being a part of the community, being a leader, being a voice, educating people in the right way, in the proper way, giving
Yeah.
back to community, giving back to small business. So, and then every day for 6 years, kind of grown on that.
Yeah. I think those are all excellent reasons to start a business. So,
Yeah.
um, to take that another level, what have been some of the biggest struggles or challenges you've had to overcome in the last 6 years as you've been growing your business?
Learning how to say no and having boundaries. When you first
Elaborate on that.
yeah, when you first start a business, like my first year, I just internally called it a yes year. I'm going to say yes to everything. And then suddenly, it's not like you go to school and you take a course on how to sit on a board. And suddenly I'm on like 5 boards and I don't understand that, like, well, okay, it's not just being on the board, it's being active with the board. Oh, so I should probably jump off some of these and figure out which ones are actually for me, which ones speak to me, which ones I can, speak about in the community. And then learning that at some point when you say yes so many times in a row for a certain number of years, your cup kind of gets extra full.
Yeah.
You kind of run out of time and space and things like that, and then you kind of have to self-educate yourself on how to balance the family and relearn all of that. And oh well, I started a small business because I wanted more freedom, not to still be up at 4 a.m. and those kinds of things. So I think that I've finally found a place. I've settled in, and I'm able to take the opportunities I wasn't doing earlier. I know I was building my career. I didn't take any of the clients with me from the previous job. That was like my no-no. I had to start from scratch,
Right.
kind of thing. So, I'm not mean when I say no now. No now. I just have to, there's a reason why. And part of it is I also have to be better at educating you. If I say yes to you, and give in to you, you're not going to learn. So if I'm saying no to you, I'm saying no with a little bit of education. Let's
Yeah.
talk about why I'm not available next week to jump in and do a video. Where 6 years ago, I might have been like, heck yes, I'm going to go film this. I have to say no, because if I want my clients, future clients in my community to understand they're like the courtesy of asking a videographer. There are a lot out there who are still trying to, find their clients, and they are going to say yes. But for me, I have to say no, because I need you to understand that it's out of respect for the people who are already on my calendar. If I say
Yeah.
yes to you and jump and go film your thing, I have to wiggle things around that are already in place to hold in the promises and the standards that I've set for my business. When I film something, I promise everybody, if it's not the next day, it's within that week. I'm going to give you those editing dates. And that just comes from hearing people who had, wedding videographers or videographers that made them wait 8, 6 months. And this, I'm not crapping on anybody. I had friends that got married and they didn't get their wedding video for like 9 months. So that gave me the aha, like, oh, I have to create a system in place where you have expectation for me. So, I say no a little bit more, and there's a reason why.
I think as a business owner, or really anybody out there, you have to be able to deliver on time,
Yeah,
right? And I think all of us have trouble saying no at the very beginning when you open your doors
a
as
hundred
a new
percent.
business, and a lot of times we regret it later on.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good one. So, growing your business the last 6 years, is there anything that you would have done differently, not career wise, but just how you've built your business, besides not saying no?
I don't think so, because I think well, there are two things that I did. And again, every step of the way, I've kind of been like, oh, well, this is interesting, because I don't have anyone in my life that has had a small business before. And on my mom's side of the family, I was the first person to go to college. So I don't really have I didn't have anyone to look up to. I didn't have any leaders. I built those along the way. I have my Chrissy Myers now and my Kathy Posners and all the people who kind of pat me on the back and they're like, you're fine, you're doing it. But instinctively, the first two things that I did was, well, I knew about social media, so I faked it till I made it. I did a lot of meetings, like what we're talking, I think my whole portfolio and my tax file was coffee, and that's all I did. was have coffee with people and posting on social media and kind of creating FOMO before FOMO was FOMO. And making people like, oh, something's happening here. We have to meet with her. And we don't know why. She just keeps meeting people we know, and we have to meet her, and we're not sure what's happening. And the other thing I did, and these two pieces are things that I tell anybody who's new in building a business, is I got deeply and heavily involved in my community. My goal was, I'm in Wadsworth, so my goal was I visualized, okay, if I can be Wadsworth's videographer, maybe once I solidify that, maybe I can be Medina County's videographer. And maybe all the videos in Medina County kind of have the She Did It look. And I'm kind of accidentally like branding a whole county kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, but I started with community. I volunteered my main streets. First Fridays, I told you I sat on a lot of boards. I was a networking jumper is what I called myself. I never like committed to a networking event, BNIs and things like that. I went, I said hi, I grabbed all the business cards and just met with a lot of people. So I don't take back or would change any sort of way that I accidentally went about doing it. I actually just, when I meet somebody that's a new small business, I'm like, here are the three things that I think you should do. And you have to go at it hard for the first year, and it's going to be really tiring. But at some point, the dam will break and you can let off the gas. You can start saying no, really put up those boundaries that serve your business, and you'll be successful. You just have to keep going. So I don't take anything back. I don't know what inside intuition made me do all of that,
Yeah.
not knowing anything about small business or being a business owner, but it worked out.
Well, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, you're doing a ton. You're everywhere, and I assume that's probably not 100% the case now. But that kind of leads me into the next question: is how do you maintain some balance between your personal life and your business life, if that's even possible for you?
It is possible. So now that I'm known a little bit more, my business is known a little bit more. I don't have to be so on. And I do have a son. And it is important for me to show him that, I'm not ignoring you. You see some of those characters on TV and they're like not paying attention to their kid, or they're in their office late at night. And I think I just always knew that that was the direction I wanted to go. Again, start a small business for a reason. And I think freedom is a part of that. That is something I like to help educate my small business friends and help remind them. I know some of us have brick and mortar and it's not as easy to shut down. But that is the important thing. That is the reason why we started a small business, because we wanted the freedom and we wanted to be our own boss and we wanted to take our own ideas and run with them. So I am deeply married to my calendar, and I actually block off time or reminders on my calendar that say things like, do not do anything on this day, or do not put anything here. And just kind of again stayed true to that for 6 years. So it kind of almost becomes a habit. That way I can shut it down at 3 o'clock and go walk and pick up my kid and be done for the day. That way he sees me reading a book and he can read a book and we can do it together. It's not
Yeah.
me in the space screaming at him in the other room, hey, make sure you do your homework kind of thing. And so we
Yeah.
can do cool trips. Like we just went to Iceland, and yeah,
That's fantastic. Well,
yeah.
so then how do you, I guess to take that one step further, how do you maintain your motivation and your focus with family there and time blocking? How do
Oh,
you keep that in place?
okay, so I was giving a lot of advice during the dreaded COVID word, because I've been doing this for 15 years in my house. So the job I had previous to She Did It, that was, I can still feel how awkward that was, because you grow up and you have this understanding that you're going to have a 9 to 5 job. And I worked in a hospital full time, and I had every other holiday off. And so then to leave and essentially become a big girl and get a job, and the boss is like, no, I trust you. Work from home. Do it at your pace. Do it whenever you want to. that took years to feel comfortable. Like, wait, what? You almost made up work. I made things up that weren't even there, that my boss didn't even care. I would have ideas and be like, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, okay. He didn't care. Um, so I just had a brain fart. I forgot what I was
That's
saying.
okay.
Sorry, editors. What were we talking about?
How
Sorry
do you
to the
stay motivated and
Oh yeah.
focused?
Yeah, I think that sorry. So I just think being passionate about the thing that you do is very helpful. You do have your highs and your low days. I call it a roller coaster ride. I can feel when I'm like, yeah, things are going great. Things are going great. And you have to also recognize when all of a sudden, my kind of trigger is if like social media and the things that my friends are saying, even though they're motivational, if they start kind of irritating me, that's when I'm like, oh, you need to take a day for you. You need to take a pause. Don't read emails on that day. Don't respond to emails on that day. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's easy when you're passionate about the thing, but you also learn with time that you have to recognize when the burnout comes. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had several conversations together before this, and I don't think you're lacking motivation or energy for that matter. So sometimes the energy gets you through the lack of motivation. So
Correct. That is also an important note that I tell my husband all the time, that I think people think I just walk around with like all this she did it kind of energy and things like that. It also goes with like branding and being a leader in the community and those kinds of things. I can promise you that I'm not jumping around in this kind of energy when I'm alone at home. I also, it is very easy when it's just you representing your business to almost get tired of yourself. So if you see behind me, I created a cartoon of myself for the days that
yeah,
I feel like showing up or showing my face. I created a cartoon so that that can show up for me, so I can still be present and in the community, even if I'm just secretly sitting on my couch, taking a breath, taking a breather
yeah,
from all the places I've shown up in the week. And yeah, because I mean, it's just me. So I have to put myself out there and film things and edit the things and be a mom and be a wife. So yeah, sometimes the cartoon shows up so that I can take a breath.
yeah. It's a lot for all of us.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in most of our lives. So how do you stay ahead of your competition?
Oh, I don't have competition. I will collaborate with you. I don't like to think of anybody as competition. I am mindful that I may not be everyone's cup of tea. I may be too much of an extrovert for some people who are more introverted or more factual people, or just, want the thing. But I am happy to collaborate with people, and I just stay focused on my mission of small business. If there are people out there who like to borrow from that idea, that's great, because I can't be everywhere at all the time and all at once. So if you're serving another community and you want to be a videographer over there, to me, yeah, that's great, because small business then will start ruling the world, right? And
Yeah,
we're better than big box. And then, if there are more pockets of videographers serving downtowns and small businesses, then people, maybe instead of going to Lowe's, maybe they go to their local, whatever, instead of going to the grocery store to get soap, maybe you remember to go to, your local Hope Soap in Cuyahoga Falls or wherever your soap is at. So I don't do competition. Other people might think of it that way, but I like to be a collaborator. How can we help each other? How can we get people the needs that they need? So I don't really focus on that. I don't focus on the numbers. I don't focus on the amount of content that I make in a year. When I got started, I did, because I,
yeah,
was excited. But at this point, my mission is, so how can we get small business to know that video is a tool, how to get them to understand it, because it's everywhere and it's in your hands, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know
yeah,
what they know. They're supposed to be making reels. They don't know what to make it of or why to do it. Um, so I would rather that we all work together and help educate our small business to learn what it is that we're creating for them. That to me is better than, you know,
yeah.
yeah, any friction. I'm not into that.
No, no, it's not. That's not the fun part of being in business.
No,
So,
no.
so
Long gone are the Mad Men era, okay? We don't
right,
have to do that
right.
anymore.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
How do you deal with innovation and advancements in technology in your industry? I assume it's constantly changing. How
Yeah.
do you deal with that part of your business?
That's a very interesting question. And I actually really maintain um all my equipment. I don't really talk about any of that because again, it's about small business. And if I'm struggling to get them to understand what a video is, I don't think it would be helpful at all if I was sitting here talking about the new camera that came out, or if I'm, putting all my lenses on Front Street and talking about all these. You guys don't know what that means. You don't understand it. So I try to keep things as simple as possible because I want to be able to relate to you when we sit down and we record video. It is, hard for some people who know their business like the back of their hand to sit down, have lights turned on, have a camera turned on, and talk about something that they know so well. I have seen people shut down. So adding new things, making things look flashy, I don't do that on purpose because I want you to feel comfortable. So my business doesn't really get in the weeds with that. I appreciate all my friends who do. I appreciate all my drone friends. I missed the boat on the drone. Now you have to get a pilot license. So when I run into those sort of things, also don't I also like to, keep collaborations with other videographers in case I have those kinds of questions pop up, or a small business is looking for something particular like that. I can send you over to Josh with pedal stompers because I know that he is a gearhead and he knows all these things and he probably has all these things. Um,
Right.
but my focus is keeping that small business person comfortable who maybe either hasn't done it or we're doing it once a year and they're starting to get in the groove and they understand video. They understand how it works as a tool. They're using their videos that they made at events. They're embedding it into their email and that kind of thing. So I always tell everybody I like to like guerrilla style filming, how they do in
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
I like to do that for the small business because I want them to feel comfortable. I don't want them to feel intimidated at all. It's already intimidating enough. It's overwhelming.
It can be. So in a way, you're dealing with all the technological advances and all the innovation in the industry. You're just dealing with it behind the scenes so that your clients don't have to worry about it. You're staying on top of all the technology,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So
without them
even
having to worry about it.
Yeah, because even like AI, I personally have my own feelings about AI. It has its place. It's time we were talking about it when we first got started. But I also see it as something that takes my people's jobs. So I don't really like to lean into it. I know it's inevitable. I know that probably when I'm 60, my son is going to be showing me what AI is doing now. I totally get it. So I'm not inundating my small business friends with, oh, I'm doing this with AI now. Again, if I am struggling to get them to understand why they need to put video in their budget, why video is a tool and that they need it. If I'm going to jump the shark and start talking about AI and, and training myself and educating it, I'm losing them. They're lost.
Right.
So I
Right.
have to kind of stay over here in this lane. Again, I have friends who love AI and I'm like, you really need to know, you need to call Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I
Just
just
have
try to stay
resources.
true to the original, to the starting point for them. If I start throwing out things, and you'd be surprised, I lose people at the video conversation and explaining all the ways we can, film a video for you and then break it up and you can use it on social media and you can just see people's eyes like glossing
Yeah.
over. So I'm like, if I start talking about all these other things, they're gone. We're losing them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. You
yeah,
have to step back on those conversations. So
yeah.
for other people that are out there and they're thinking about doing videography as a career, what's one of the or what are some of the most challenging parts of your industry?
Well, finding your voice and finding your client, finding people who trust and understand when they need you, and spending all that time figuring out what that means, and how to get it across.
Yeah.
Um, So that's great that you said that. There's a woman who overheard a conversation I was having. I was having a meeting, and she walked up to me and she said, excuse me, I was sorry, but I was listening to your conversation, and I'm a videographer and I just got fired. And I was like, oh, we talked for a little bit, and she is having trouble. Obviously, this isn't California, so it's not like
Right.
videographer jobs are abundant. And she's having trouble getting work. So I had her send me her reel, and she's very fresh and green in the industry. And, what I said to her, which is what I think other videographers should extend a hand in, because there are not as many opportunities, and because a videographer might not want to be a social media videographer, I extended a hand and I asked her if she wanted to shadow me anytime next year so I
Yeah.
could give her feedback. Doing it for 15 years, I've had a lot of interesting bosses. They haven't been so nice, so knowing how to give feedback in a way that's kind, but also, a little assertive. So I extended that hand to her. And then I also asked if she wanted to create. I always make a year-end video that kind of recaps what I've done for the year. So I reached out to her and I said, you know what? I don't have time. Would you like to add something to your portfolio that is different than what you've shown me? And I gave her that opportunity, and she's working on it right now.
That's great.
So yeah, those kind of collaborations, I think that other videographers need them. So opening yourself up to letting someone follow you so they can get that experience. Cause this isn't Hollywood. It's not Florida. It's not Miami. We don't, the
Right.
opportunities for us aren't like rolling out.
Right.
So if we can create them for each other, it's very helpful. And, maybe I put her video out and other people see it and they lean on her too, and she continues to grow. That's the only way she's going to continue to grow. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely nice of you
Why,
to be
thank
able to help someone like that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I wish someone would have
final.
done it for me. No one did it for me. I wish I would have had that.
Well, you're setting an example going forward on things
Yeah.
on what you should do. So,
Being a
uh,
leader.
final two questions. I promise.
Okay.
What's the best business advice anybody's ever given you?
Oh, easy answer. So, um, make sure that when you are in a meeting and the meeting is over with, you ask the person across from you, is there anyone else you think that I should meet? You would not even believe how that has opened up all the wonderful people that I have met in 6 years. So I have then taken that and put my own spin on it, which is then when I meet with somebody, I then introduce them to someone they may not know. I've done it to
Yeah,
you. You
yeah,
got
absolutely.
Christy, Amy, I did it to you.
Yeah,
So I kind of expanded on that. So that was the greatest thing. That was Kathy. If I didn't introduce you to her, I will. She told me that and I ran with it. And it expanded every single person I have met in and out of Medina County
yeah.
tenfold. Yeah.
I think that's great, and I am appreciative of the
Yeah.
people that you've introduced me to. They've been so far the ones that had great interviews.
Yeah.
So, final question: let's say you run into somebody that's 1 or 2 years into their business and they're struggling, they're stressed. What type of advice would you give them?
Oh, every single thing that you're feeling right now is real. It is valid. And I make sure I tell them the piece about you have to start acknowledging when you're reaching burnout. So if you start noticing that things are irritating you, your email, you kind of want to get snarky and those kinds of things, those are the days that you need to take a pause for yourself. Uh, Even if it takes 1, 2, 3 days a week, because you're going to be a better person when you get over that, and you're going to see your business back to the original starting point. And you're going to be able to communicate better going forward. So I just validate them and let them know that every single thing that you're feeling, I have felt it. Here are some books you can read to keep you in the right mindset, because it is a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down. And, that's how I communicate to my husband how I'm feeling with my business. I always go, okay, we're like we're going up, but I know that I got to come down at some point and it's
Yeah,
going to flatten out and I need to take a pause. So, I
right,
always make sure I let them know like every single thing you're feeling is real. And soon you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, I got through that. Yeah.
great. That's definitely good advice. I wish I would have taken that many years ago. But Jenny, listen, I really, really appreciate you being a part of my interview series. This has been great. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, who's listening, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, I am She Did It Videography just about everywhere. You can find me
Okay,
most active on Facebook and Instagram. My website is shediditvideo.com. You can probably Google me. There's stuff that, yeah, everywhere. You can email me. Well, most Mondays in the month, I block off time to do coffee with people. So I say that no agenda. If anybody feels interested in meeting me and having a conversation about any of these things or small business, or, a lot of times when you work in your office, you lose touch with people. You need to feel like you have a coworker. So if you want to sit down and pretend I'm your coworker for an hour on a Monday, I block off Monday so I can sit down and have coffee with people for anybody that just wants to chat. So you can reach me and we'll find a time that works.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, listen, once again, thank you very much for taking part. It was good talking to you. And for everybody out there listening, I appreciate you paying attention to mastering the numbers. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care, Jenny.
See ya.
See ya. You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.